Well, much has been said about Generation Z, young people born between 1997 and 2013. Research shows the age group walking away from faith and church at a greater pace than the previous generation. Why? But it also indicates Gen Z is open to learning more about Jesus. CBN contributing correspondent Paul Pettit introduces us to a group of young adults in Arkansas determined to make an impact.
A basement full of young adults playing games and hanging out. Then, once the social time ends, they quickly get down to business, talking politics through a Christian worldview.
Politics matter because people matter, and so much of our generation wants nothing to do with politics. It's too divisive, it's too polarizing, but what we want to counter that narrative with is if our culture is so hyper-political, how can we help but bring the gospel, good news, into that bad news conversation?
For this Generation Z organization, that includes conversations around tough topics like abortion, gender identity, and same-sex marriage. Counteract USA started in Arkansas in 2021 and has expanded to more than 200 members, operating cell groups in 6 states.
We'd break down a topic like biblical marriage, and we say, okay, what does the world say? What is marriage? What does the world say that marriage is? How has our culture distorted that definition? What does the Word of God have to say about that? And how do we enter into the narrative? How do we change our culture to better reflect a biblical view of God's design for marriage?
The goal is evangelizing and advocating, such as peacefully demonstrating for life or preparing members to better discuss gender identity with a fellow student.
We're in Walmart, we see just like pride all over the place.
This meeting is focused on how to best respond to Pride Month.
It can be really easy to be swept away by those fleeting winds of doctrine. So Counteract for me has been a place where like-minded believers can come together and discuss really honestly what is being taught in culture and what we as believers are called to do about it.
The LGBTQ movement is looking for liberation in these sexual identities. They're trying to find their identity in sexuality and gender, but the only identity that can ever satisfy is a relationship with Jesus Christ.
I find myself more willing to talk about these things with my family, my cousins, and have practiced and rehearsed these conversations and kind of just fleshed out the ideas to form what do I actually believe.
And Counteract USA couldn't be growing at a more pivotal time. Surveys from the Barna Group, a Christian research organization, shows that 82% of Gen Zers, who largely make up our college student body across America, either identify as non-Christians or nominal Christians. And the vast majority of those lean far left when it comes to culture and public policy.
If you don't have a firm foundation for a lot of these things, if you don't personalize your faith as a young Christian, then it's going to be not easy, but it's going to be more likely maybe that you're going to see a lot of young Christians continuing to fall away or flounder or falter in some of these conversations.
I had students who might have considered themselves a progressive Christian, a pro-abortion Christian, who have started to come to these meetings, who have had these conversations with people, and then within the year they say, okay, I can't help but vote in accordance to my biblical values.
Young Christians who are involved in these types of groups like Counteract, they're going to be pretty serious about things, and they're going to be pretty forceful about the ways that their faith should be affecting their viewpoints on politics and culture. And it's going to be really fascinating to see what that looks like in the years and decades ahead.
And if you ask these young adults, they'll tell you the future starts now.
Gen Z is ready for something different. The Christians in our generation, all they need to be is inspired, encouraged, equipped to actually go in and change their culture, and they will.
In Northwest Arkansas, Paul Pettit, CBN.